Hi, I'm Spencer. I'm a young adult author, and if you're an artist like me, there's one thing you have to do. You need to finish your work. As a writer myself, one of the things I've come to appreciate most about making art is having the discipline to finish. You see, I've never had trouble starting. It's very easy for me to get excited about a new idea or a new project. I start daydreaming about how awesome it's going to be, and then I start gathering up all the materials. I write down some ideas in my notebook, and then I set up shop at my favorite coffee shop, and I have a latte there, and my computer is open, and then I start cranking out the words. But before you know it, I hit some speed bumps. The work takes longer than I was envisioning, or the words aren't as polished as I hoped they would be. And this idealized version of the project quickly breaks down. As the work gets harder and harder, I grow more and more frustrated, and eventually I just abandon the project altogether and move on to my next idea. In writing, you may have heard this referred to as shiny new idea syndrome. You start writing something that you're really excited about, but then you really get into the thick of it and it gets more and more complicated. The plot isn't working and the characters aren't behaving the way they're supposed to. It becomes harder and harder to face the manuscript each day because it feels like you're pushing a tremendous boulder up a hill and progress is very slow. And that's when you have a new idea. Something exciting piques your interest. You just know that this new project is going to be different. The words are going to flow out of you like water, and the plot's going to come together seamlessly. So, like a CEO with a pair of Coldplay tickets in his pocket, you abandon your first love and jump into this new thing. But then, wouldn't you know it, this new thing starts to get hard too, and the cycle just kind of repeats itself forever and ever, and nothing ever gets done unless you decide to break the cycle. Because the thing is, you don't get better if you don't finish. This is a lesson we can learn from Audra Winter. If you've been on the book side of TikTok or YouTube, you've probably heard that name bouncing around. Audra is a young woman in her 20s who recently released her self-published debut fantasy novel. Audra did a great job marketing this book leading up to its release. She talked about how she'd been working on this world and crafting these characters since she was 12 years old. People were excited to check it out and thousands of readers pre-ordered. And then the book came out and that excitement started to dwindle. Negative reviews started rolling in, calling the writing flat and repetitive, and Audra went into damage control. She started posting about how she's heard the negative feedback and now she plans to improve the book and re-release it in new editions. Now, I haven't read Audra's book, so I'm not here to comment on the quality of her work, but I do think this whole situation can teach us a lesson about the value of finishing things. Audra says she's been working on this book for over a decade, and while this may seem counterintuitive, we often don't get better as artists by being singularly focused on one project for a long period of time. Or at least not that long. I mean, it only took Michelangelo 4 years to paint the Sistine Chapel. When we become laser focused on making one project perfect, we often lose sight of the forest for the trees. And when that project doesn't live up to our impossible to reach expectations of perfection, we start to panic. In 2021, my debut young adult novel got published, and then I was excited to start working on a follow-up to that book. I crafted this book that I considered funny and exciting and timely, and I thought it would be a wonderful second book. But when my agent started pitching it to publishers, the response was less than enthusiastic. In fact, no one bought it. We went through this submission period that stretched on for months, and it ended with utter disappointment. I spent a considerable amount of time working on this project that, even now, will likely never see the light of day. So what did I do? Well, I took that loss and moved on to writing the next thing. I did not decide to spend the next several years trying to perfect that manuscript so that maybe we could pitch it again and editors would maybe change their mind about it. This is a lesson thousands of writers already know. For most of us who have gone the route of traditional publishing, the first book that we write is usually not the first one that gets published. For many writers, it's their second, third, or fourth manuscript that eventually lands them an agent. And there's still no guarantee that that's the first one that'll be published. But that doesn't mean those unpublished manuscripts were a waste of time. Those writers are honing their craft and improving their skill. It's a necessary part of the process. It's also a lesson I'm learning with this very YouTube channel. I've had this channel for years, but if you look at the upload history, you'll see that it's only been fairly recently that I've decided to get serious about uploading on a regular basis. There's been so many videos that I've started and then just completely abandoned halfway through. The hard drive on my computer is a graveyard of unused video clips. And that's because I was too focused on trying to make the perfect video with the best hook and the most amazing editing. But if I spent a decade of my life trying to craft the perfect YouTube video, it would never live up to my expectations. And you don't build an audience off of one piece of work. It's consistency that matters. So if you're an artist, please finish your work. Be willing to let things be imperfect. Don't let perfect be the enemy of done, and definitely don't let it be the enemy of good. If you want to build your life as an artist, you're not going to do it by creating one perfect thing. Have you guys ever seen the musical Rent, where the guy's like, I need to write one perfect song before I die? No, that's not the way it works. You need to write a bunch of terrible songs, and then you'll write some pretty good songs, and then eventually you'll actually write quite a few really great songs, probably, if you just keep going up to bat. You get better by finishing. So create a lot of work. If you guys enjoyed this video, I hope you'll give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. This is the type of stuff I like to talk about on this channel, the writing process, the creative process, trying to make a living in the arts. And if you stick around, I'll see you on the next one.